Yes. So hereditary traits may be dominant or recessive. But dominant traits has two types. The dominant trait may be pure dominant trait or impure. In another expression, hybrid dominant trait. Okay? Again, dominant trait may be pure or impure or hybrid. What is the difference between pure and impure? Pure trait, pure dominant trait, represented by two dominant genes. Any genetic trait represented by two genes. Any genetic or any hereditary trait represents by two genes. The two genes may be two dominant genes, or one dominant and another recessive, or two recessive genes. Okay? If the two genes are dominant genes, it means that the trait will be pure dominant trait. Dominant plus dominant. If the genes, one of them is dominant and the other one is recessive, it means that the trait will be impure or hybrid. What? Yes, dominant trait. While the recessive trait should expressed by two recessive genes, recessive plus recessive. Okay? So the recessive gene can't express itself except if it is found in أو at two genes. Okay? طيب ناخد بالنا. Genes are expressed by letters. I mean, to express any gene, we write it by the letter. If we write this letter, capital letter, like this, we mean that A capital, T capital, S capital, any letter, any capital letter, it represents dominant gene. If we write the same letter but small, A small, T small, S small, we mean that this gene is a recessive gene. So again, for example, to write the gene or the genotype of a pure dominant trait, we write it like this: A capital, or T capital, or S capital, and so on. To write the impure or hybrid dominant trait, we write it as A capital, A small, one dominant gene and another recessive gene, or T capital, T small, and so on. To write the recessive trait, we write it like this: A small, one recessive gene and another recessive gene, or S small, T small, and so on. It is the difference between the method of writing dominant trait and the recessive traits. Okay? Okay, to the next part. We said that Mendel made his experiments on pea plants. Okay? Mendel make crossing. What is the meaning of crossing? Copulation or fertilization between two pea plants. One of them contains pure dominant trait and the other one contains pure recessive traits. Okay, the recessive trait is always pure dominant trait and another recessive trait. But first, Mendel make this plant make self-pollination many times. Give reason. Again, before making Mendel experiments, he made this plants make self-pollination for many times. What we meant by this sentence? He let the green plant make self-pollination. يعني pulling grain from the anther of the flower to the stigma of the same flower many times to be sure that this trait is pure trait. And the same experiment on the other recessive trait on the other plant. Okay? Why? Give reason or explain to be sure that the trait is pure trait. After that, Mendel okay, make a crossing between these two plants. If we take simple y, for example, y, like your book, but we can use any simple, we can use any letter, okay, but we will use the simple in your book, letter y. If we write letter y in two capital letters, y capital, y capital, it indicates the pure dominant trait. This character will be yellow pea seed. Yellow pea seed. اهو هنكتبها هنا اولاد. هنا تبقى y capital, y capital. Okay? This is pure dominant trait. Yellow seed. And we will make crossing, or Mendel made crossing between another what? Yes, another plant, pea plant with a recessive trait. What is the recessive trait? The green pea seed. Okay, yellow pea seed and the green pea seed. So how can we express the recessive trait? By writing the same letters but small. Yes, y small, y small. Okay, this stage is called the stage of parents. We write it like this. Okay, يبقى parents pure dominant yellow seed and recessive green seed. The second stage will be the formation of gametes. What is gametes? Gametes means segregation of these genes or separation between these genes. ليه؟ علشان يحصل inheritance أو يحصل بعد كده fertilization. فهنا أقول أهو the second stage is the stage of gamete formation. How can we write the gametes? We separate between the two genes. So the first one will write it like this, okay, inside the circle. And the second one, we will write it like this. It's the same. In the second here, y small and the other y small. After that, we will find the family 1. What we mean by family 1? Yes? Family 1 is the first generation, is the result between the crossing or copulation or fertilization between these gametes. How can we make this fertilization? Like this. The first gamete with the first one. The first with the first. So the result will be y capital, y small. Okay? And the first with the second. أهو. Okay? Like this. The first with the second. The result also will be y capital, y small. Then the second gamete. The second gamete with the first here. It will be y capital, y small. And the second one also, the second gamete with the second one, y capital, y small. Now we will determine the phenotype. What is the meaning of phenotype? We will determine the appearance of the trait. What is the shape of this trait on these plants? Yes, number 1, y capital, y small. When the dominant gene find with the recessive gene, the dominant trait will appear. But it will be hybrid or impure. So the first individual will be, yes, yellow بالظبط كده, yellow seed. And the second one will be capital small, yellow, hybrid yellow. The third one will be yellow and the fourth one will be yellow. So all generation, the first generation in this problem will be 100% dominant trait. No appearance for the recessive trait. So in the definition of the recessive trait, we said that it is the trait which disappear in the first generation. Yes, it doesn't appear in the first generation. Now we will take two individuals here. Yes, any two individuals, they are similar, and we will make crossing between them. Why? To find the second generation. To find the second generation. طيب, what are the gametes? The new gametes will be here y capital, okay, y small, okay, y capital, y small, the same, no new gametes. خلاص, يبقى الانديفيدوال ده will be y capital Y small and the other one will be y capital Y small. By this